Welcome, my name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated. And we need to be self-educated because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what others tell us, what the system tells us, what the science tells us, right? And today I wanted to just go over some star forts down the east coast of the USA and have a look at them and the cities that surround them, and a bit of the story of how they were built, what's going on with all these star forts, right? Because the story we're given is they were all built by the Italians and French between sort of the mid 1500s and mid 1700s. But then, of course, you get Australia, the USA, all these other countries that fall outside that timeline, but still have the star forts. So I thought we would jump in and have a bit of a look. Okay, so here we are on the Googles of Earth. And as you can see, this is the Americas, North America, Central, South America, Bahamas. And all these dots are star forts. So, and as you can see, I've just sort of done down the coast here. No doubt there's many more in there. If you do know of any more star forts in the USA, please leave a comment below and let me know. All right, so we're going to start up. The first one right up, I think it's actually technically just in Canada, well, pretty much right on the border, right? Now, this is Fort Montgomery. Now, as you can see, as we zoom in, let's turn it the other way. It's a star fort. So you can see this shape. Now, this is what I've been calling the rocket ship shape, because you do see this, similar shapes to this all over the place, and they look a bit like a little rocket ship. And of course, it looks like there's more, old world construction under here, bit of a wall here. And then, of course, this wall that looks like it goes up to the mainland. So I'm not sure why all the trees are growing on that. Of course, it may be an energy thing as well, right? But also when we look behind, we find these funny, shapes in the ground, the funny shapes that the trees are growing in, these three big rectangles here. Of course, we have, some old world, we always see these semicircles and different shapes in old world cities, but the rest of it looks like it's been pretty much covered over, right? But of course, just behind the star fort, always things like industrial areas, golf courses, or nature reserves, national parks, basically anywhere that people can't go and dig. Now, with star forts, when they're on water, most of the time they have a pair, I would say all the time, across the current. So what happens when we come down here and have a look? I don't know, a bit of an interesting shape there. Not too much by the looks of it. So whatever was there, if it was, has been wiped out. But we still do get these funny little sort of jutting out bits of land. So that's the first one. And of course, down here, looks like it could have been something as well, but there's nothing left. All right, so that is Fort Montgomery. Now we will go down to New York, Fort Tryon. And this is, we can't see the star so much in this. This is what's called a citadel. So the citadel of the star, as you can see, this isn't even a photo. Not sure what's going on there. It looks like Minecraft. But this is on a big hill. It's all walls. There's walls all around it. And this is the remains of a star fort. We can't actually, there's not much of the actual star left. We've got these sort of funny shaped, triangular bits up here. But it's definitely, if you zoom in, the whole thing is walled. And of course, there is a lot more in New York, or New Amsterdam, as it was called when they first found it. So if we just come down into the city, we've got Central Park here. And of course, I think everyone knows that the Statue of Liberty is standing on an 11-pointed star, the only 11-pointed star I've seen on a man-made island, of course. We have another, is this Ellis Island? Yeah, Ellis Island, clearly a man-made island. Look at this angle here too, this triangle, very, reminiscent of the old world stars and walls. And down here we have an actual star citadel sitting there. Or, they're also called batteries, right? And that's, we have a battery on each side of the waterways, right, across the current. So there's a nice star. And this shape as well, you see everywhere, the star with the arrow at the top. Sometimes they're attached, sometimes they're not. And a man-made island. And of course, if we come down into the actual city, you will see this is called the Battery, because I've shown the map many times. Here it is again. This used to be a star fort, a battery. And down here we have, where is it? I probably can't find it. Is this it? Wall Street, basically, comes down along here, which is, of course, the old wall, the old wall of the Star City. So that's New York, New York. There's many more interesting things around here too, like these man-made sea walls and islands that go all up the coast here. Look at this. All right. Now, down here, Fort Mifflin. Of course, I'm from Australia, so I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So is this near Chicago? I'm lost on it. Chicago's around here, sort of around here. All right, Port Mifflin. And as you can see, this is another rocket ship. All right. So you can see it's got the basic design. This one's got 3 on one side, 3 points. I don't know why, and 1 on the other side, off center. So clearly it's built this way for a reason. Now, of course, just to have a look around, look at this. What is this? All right. And just remains of canals, lots of water around. Look what's in here. You can see these old walls and, the old imprints of the old world infrastructure still. And of course, we have our star, and like I said, what's behind it? We've got, and airports. They're another one, airports, places you can't dig, and mining, right? This looks like mining. So what we're starting to see is a lot of things like this. Now, this is obviously a big hill, but it looks suspiciously like a star, like that could have been an old star. Are they mining the old stars to get, limestone blocks and things out of them, quarries, turning them into quarries? It's interesting, isn't it? So this starship or spaceship, okay, and just to show you, you will see that this as well is the same kind of starship design. Like I said, they're not, exactly the same, but it's the same. See how it's the same kind? You can't see the bottom, but I would guarantee that goes up like that and then down. So the same design, and this is what we see repeated, these stars, and they all have, not all of them, but you find similar designs all over the place. You can see there's Fort Mifflin, the other rocket ship. And if we come down the coast a bit here, you'll see, along the edge here, lots of what looks like, golf courses and national parks, industry, and look, man-made canals, right? This is another thing that we see everywhere, is the remnants of these canal systems. Strange shapes in the ground. And down here, this whole area, it's quite interesting, man-made canals. But if you look down here, look what we have. Okay, and this comes, you can see it comes up here, cross, down, up, and then down to a point down here. That's an old star. That's a star wall. Okay, and look what they got here. A quarry. Is that a quarry? No, is it? Oh, it's a speedway. So they've got a speedway there, and this is industry. Like these are sort of chemical holding lakes and industry, and literally in the middle of an old star. And again here, right, you can see a bigger star and more man-made canals. Okay, so this is in the USA, and down here again, big triangle, no doubt part of the original star. So there's just bits and pieces. Okay, so this would have been like a star citadel. We would have had a star city, I would think, probably actually up here somewhere, and then a bigger one, and then down here there would have been another smaller star city, basically. And this is all, and here's another one, right? Fort Delaware. Okay, and now this is what I'm calling satellite stars. These are outside of the star city walls, and they form a perimeter around them. You just find this shaped star, this shaped construction, clearly on a man-made island. Here we've got a man-made wall. And then again, we go and see what's on the other side, and what do we find? But a big quarry. They're calling it a nature reserve, but that looks that looks like a quarry to me. And again, like, what is this stuff? And they'll say, oh, that's just the rock we haven't quarried out. But is it, or is that the remains of buildings, foundations, and things? Little funny angles everywhere, right? Kind of looks, you can kind of see a bit of a star shape there too. This is cemetery and military, so a fort, so we can't get in here. And this whole area is all military training grounds, so not allowed in there. But as we can see, again, these things that look like man-made canals, and the reason they do, they're so equidistant, right? I mean, look at this part of it. Look at that. It's just too perfect. And of course, these, just strange shapes everywhere. So remnants of the past. Then on the other side again, right, big quarry. So what's going on here? Even this looks like it may have been, some massive infrastructure. So, and I mean, and look at this canal, right? Look at this. Look how perfect that is made, right? We're told these are all rivers. These are all man-made canals. Look at them. They're too perfect. Clearly they've been flooded, but then they always go into these lakes, right, which are basically like valves, and holding tanks. But then you'll see they'll pop out again. They'll pop out at different points of the lake. If we come down here, let's have a look. Oh, there you go. There's one big one that's coming out of it, up into another network. And then that looks like it feeds into the sea. Another one coming up here into another, and one here. So you can see there's this massive network that's being hidden from us. Okay, this is probably the USA's best looking star, most intact. Fort McHenry, a nice 5-pointer. But again, as you can see, we've got half of what's underneath it popping out. But we can clearly see there's a lot more of this under the ground that's been buried. Again, it looks like, this is all man-made seawalls, all man-made walls. And what do we get across? But again, massive industry, right? But just looking at this bit here, look, this looks like they've put this in later, maybe, I don't know. Did it go in like that and come out? I don't know, but it just, all these funny angles just remind me of stars, right? Star forts. And then we come over here, there's this massive man-made lake. Don't know what the purpose of that is. Industry, Looks like this is a quarry. And this whole area, right, completely built over, completely man-made as well, by the way. This is all man-made shorelines. And just very interesting sort of little, there's just bits everywhere when you start looking. Of course, most of it's covered up, these parks and things, but again, coming off that, we've got this canal, right, down here. And of course, these canal systems would have gone in and through the star cities. So we'll come down here to Fort Monroe. And here we go, the nice big star. And this one has its moat intact. And of course, this is, when we were in school, they used to tell us, they never told us that these stars existed. They told us they were all square castles with a square moat, didn't they? When in reality, this is what was going on. There's these stars that are moated. And it looks like a man-made island, I'm not sure. Big seawall here. Natural, well, probably man-made harbour, which we see a lot in the old maps. They all had man-made harbours for their boats. Another man-made island out here. Why not? So these are probably all reclaimed. They probably just built the bridges out to them. Of course, the canals, and you can see here how, the canals used to go into the cities, right? And they've just been either covered up in the mud flood or some other cataclysm, or, covered up as they've gone along and refaced the cities. And then, of course, on the other side from that star, we have another man-made island. Look at this. This is actually like a satellite star. And I can show you these in Russia, in the ocean, which used to be called the Tartarian Sea. So that's remains of a satellite star. So that's another bit of old world tech. And then we have all this man-made shoreline stuff everywhere, the canals coming in. And then, of course, it's just all industrial, airports, golf courses, stuff that we can't go to dig. But, very interesting. So this is the old world covered up. So all of this is in the USA, remember? And look at this big seawall. So we can see that the water levels have changed, right? They've risen. This would have been the old edge of the USA. South Carolina. So this one, I just found, it's actually a military fort. Just has many, interesting features. It's up on a hill, has this interesting sort of, wall along here. But what got me was this bit, the citadel. The way it's laid out, especially, looks exactly like a star, right? Those stars that we see, the five-pointed with the bit at the top. And this is, what is it, 6 hexagon. I mean, that's a bit funny, but look, that looks like it could be the citadel of a star. Of course, we have this big funny angled wall here. Up here, more just funny angles, right? These triangles everywhere. So that to me looks like, an old buried star, and it's also a military site, which means you can't go there and dig around. So, clearly it doesn't look like a star from above, but with a bit of LiDAR or a bit of digging around, I'm sure we would, find a bit there. So this is Fort Jackson. And we have another rocket ship. Okay, that's the third one in America. Can you see they're similar? They've got this similar design. Obviously, the other ones had points on the sides and that, but similar base sort of design. The other side of that is just, looks like something's had a bomb being bombed here. But I think that's a quarry. Yeah, of course, it's a quarry across from the star. Is that a man-made island? Don't know. Might just be like a platform. And of course, canals everywhere. This I found very interesting, mainly also because, you know, it's a hexagon. It's in this sort of destroyed out area. And then down here, Fort Pulaski. All right, we've got another satellite. And again, this is like the one we saw in the water. And of course, fully moated, got a nice big triangle at the back, but this would have been forming a perimeter around a city. So, you know, if there's a star here, actually that was sort of a satellite one too. So these probably would have been, you know, like a circle perimeter. And then, you know, you would have had your star city in the middle here somewhere. Now, those you can see a lot better in Europe, because in Europe, we've got some that are still, you know, all the satellites are still there, all the infrastructure. Now we're down in Miami, Florida. Miami's a city, Florida's a state. I knew that. And here we've seen this one before as well, right? Four-pointed with this extra bit, arrow at the top. But again, on this one, you can see there's much more going on, right? We've got these tops of these walls. See down here, there was a much bigger star. Well, there still is underneath it. And there would be more underneath that as well. So nice big star. On the other side, not much. Down here, even less. And just this, you know, all these, you know, this I would think is a man-made seawall. You know, it looks like we've got all these canals and that too, but this, I don't know, either carved out for a natural port or something. And this canal, right, running right down the side, right next to the ocean. And you see this in Russia as well. They've got canals, big ones. Look at this, right down the side of the ocean. Just crazy. Down here we have, so what have I found here? So this is called Old Fort Park. You know, a bit of geomancy in the ground and, you know, familiar shapes that we see everywhere. But there's no actual star here. But I mean, again, looking, we've got all these, you know, remains of old world buildings, right? All these foundation remains. This looks like the remains of a wall around here, because what's going on is the trees can't grow very high, right, on top of the walls, because there's no soil, it's stone. So you get these lines in the ground. And same with these, the foundation, sometimes, you know, you get nothing because they're such a big solid foundation. So that, you know, who knows what was there, right? Could have been stars or a bit of a city, not sure. But this, I mean, apart from the fact that we've got all these, you know, canals and rivers going everywhere, who knows what this is? Because I don't. Is this, what this looks like is, you know, it looks like someone's gone in and made one of these, you know, real estate canals, right, to sell houses on the water. But clearly there's no houses there, there's nothing. There's not even any roads coming in so they can construct this. And they've all got these white bits. And apart from the fact that the canals, you can see, they're all overgrown, they're not fresh, right? But I mean, is this limestone, these bits where there's just not plants growing? It's just, I don't know, it's very strange looking, but I mean, look at this place, right? Look at this. Look like a cavalier off a star. Right, we see that shape everywhere. We've got this massive winding, meandering canal. And then over here, no, I mean, just look, what this looks like is an old world city, right? That's just been demolished and not rebuilt. And it's just sitting there. And these may be remains of buildings. I don't know, right? They're very strange. So if you're in Florida, Dr. Longo, if you're watching, get down and, you know, what is this place? Where are we? I don't even know where we are. Sugar Mill Ruins. There you go. You get a double act if you go down there. Check out the Sugar Mill Ruins and the whatever these old world canals are. Be good if you had a boat to go in there, maybe check it out. I just wanted to start traveling, right? I will be soon. My hand is healing. So down here, we're now right at the tip of the east coast of the USA. And they're still going, still forts. This one's still got its moat. And again, the satellite. So this is the same as the one that we saw that had the big pointy bit. And we see these as islands everywhere. And you know, just as satellites, as rings around satellite cities, they make like a circuit, right? But you know, also there's some funny angled walls and stuff going on here. So clearly there was more going on. You know, this geometry in the ground, and of course it's surrounded by military and stuff where you can't dig. I think the whole thing's military. Interesting, shaped seawall. Then across, you know, right? It's a bit of a crossing. But if we come over to the Bahamas, you know, there's stars all through here as well. So we have this one, which is Castel de Moro, Castilla del Tre Rey de Moro, right? And again, this is, you know, like the rocket ship shape. Again, it's different, but it's the same base design as those sort of rocket ship stars we saw. And as you can see on this one, we can see one of the, you know, lower layers down there. And if we come out, I mean, look, you can see this is all part of it. You know, there was something much bigger going on here. And so we have left, and of course, on the other side of the water, remember, and you've got this water, you always, and the current, you always have a star on each side. And these are like star citadels, you know, these are attached to the star cities. So these are what are also called batteries, you know, where you keep infantry before they charge, right? Charge them up in the battery so that they charge well. And of course, I mean, look at this, right? You've got another star. So this whole area, right? This is Cuba, right? This one's moated. And look, this, you know, this is the geometry we see in Europe, right? Around palaces and things. Now look at this. I mean, that may be new, I don't know, but it looks, you know, old amphitheater. And just the look of this town is very old world looking, very red. These buildings with the courtyards in the middle, and you know, the streets aren't too bad here, but you can see there's funny angles and stuff all the way through them. It's a very old world looking and just very man-made shorelines. Because of course the old world was it was water-based, right? That they traveled, you know, in the water and in the air, as far as we can tell. And here we go, the last one for the video, Fort Jefferson. And this is, of course, first video I ever did was on Fort Jefferson. And here it is. And of course, why wouldn't you? When I found this thing, look at it. We're out in the middle of nowhere, right? Out in the middle of the ocean. It's 200 miles off the shore. And apparently built in the 1800s, built from ballast, right? Ballast bricks brought over in, well, you can imagine how many ships, because this is the biggest red brick building in the United States with 16 million bricks. And as you can see, it's a citadel basically, right? It's the center of what would have been a much bigger construction, or there would have been a star around it and then no doubt a city. So this would have all, you know, clearly we can see something sunken here, right? When the water level rose. But what's awesome about this is it's on an, you know, an atoll, right? And it's still moated. There's literally a wall to make a moat to separate it from the ocean. Nice ocean too, by the way. So this thing, yeah, just a silly story, right? And why would it be there? Because, you know, if you're coming in to attack America, wouldn't we just go around it? You know, I mean, so this whole concept of star forts on islands being defensive is ridiculous. Look, why would you even go near this? You would just come along and go bloom, or you would come up under here, right? But it's a long way offshore, you can see, so it just doesn't make sense, right? And who are they defending against that was coming from, what, here? The Americas that were apparently, you know, were uninhabited. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So clearly this is all infrastructure from the old world. And as you can see, there's a whole trail of it down here, keeps going out into the Bahamas. And there's actually, I haven't marked this properly, but there's lots of stuff all the way through here. And of course, down into South America, as we can see, here's a few. And then across the rest of the realm, there are stars everywhere. So I'm still building up my collection, starting to get a few in Europe. I did have them all, and of course I lost the fire. So it's a work in progress. So there you go, guys. Stars, old world, Star City remains in North America. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And also if you know of any other stars, star forts, star cities, things like that in the USA, give me a like if you haven't already, and obviously do subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.